Hey guys, hope you're all well. Right, starting in the van today. Spare wheel carrier. So I had a friend come over yesterday and yeah, proper helped me out. So we got the spare wheel carrier on the back of the van to do all the brackets, because it was going to be very difficult without mounting it on the van and doing all the tacking up there. So we done that yesterday, managed to drag the welder all the way up the path and sort that out, which was, let's say, a much better way of doing it. It would have been very, very difficult doing it any other way. So yeah, that was a tremendous help. And we have a little plan. So he's got a van the same as mine, but the Citroen version. But I think they've just got different grills. Mind you, his is a much newer one than mine. It's very posh, so it may have a slightly different engine. I don't know. Anyway. We have another plan of sidebars for them, so yeah, that's next. He's going to organise some of the steel for it. I'll probably go and collect it. We found a cheaper place now for steel, which is brilliant. For instance, the normal place where I get my steel from, which is local, we found another local place. So we priced the sidebar material up. We're doing sidebars along the bottom, all the way along the bottom of the van, in 60mm tube, because it's quite a length. Anything else would have looked very spindly, so we're going for 60mm, then putting some little bends at the end. My usual place, I think it was about 55 quid for 3 meters. We've found another local place, £28. Yeah, so it looks like if they've got a decent stock of all different shapes and sizes of material, I'll be using them in the future, which is good. Anyway, let's go and have a look at what we've done so far. There we go. So we got all masking tape all over the van at the minute, just for doing the tacks. This is solid. So basically I've copied this, sort of copied this from one that's on my friend's van, and it's a company that does them for the Mercedes vans, Vauxhalls, everything. Every van he does these spare wheel carriers in this sort of design, mounted exactly like this. So I know it's proven, it's tested, and it works. Although I've done mine in slightly bigger tubes and tighter bends. So it comes off the hinges, look. Remember what we were doing there? It's all very badly tacked up at the moment. So that's all sorted. The back door opens all fine. We clear all this, these bump stops, all that's good. So we just got to do the bit that actually holds the wheel. And these tubes have got to be cut down as well, just above the hinge line. So there's quite a bit got to come off them, top and bottom. And then I've got the plastic caps. I've done the mounting from a little tank there. That's just the tank that I can carry diesel in for the diesel heater inside the van, save me carrying cans of diesel inside. And that all locks up as well, which is good. So I had to do a bracket for this. You probably won't see it because the mounting points on this tank are flat, and on this van there isn't actually a single flat panel on this van, so I had to do this to sort of soak up the bow in the door, the curve, so this would sit flat, so that can go the powder coaters as well when that's done. Anyway, I'm going to get this off and then sort out all the business that we're doing that holds the wheel. Okay, right, favourite saying, moving on. Was it about 5 o'clock in the evening? So I had a couple of friends turn up, which was marvellous. It's a good thing at the minute because it slows me down a little bit, and that ain't a bad thing. Anyway, it's off the van, it's in the shed. I've got 3 holes, well, 3 big holes drilled in this plate. So this is the plate that's the spare wheel's going to bolt to. I've got some pilots in them. So what I'm going to do, I am going to mount the wheel with 3 bolts, and the other 2 I'm going to put pins in them to locate onto the wheel. So thinking behind that is, when you've got that spare wheel, which is quite heavy, and lifting it up onto the van if it was on studs and we got studs coming out to this plate and wheel nuts, it wouldn't be so bad. But let me show you. We're on wheel bolts, so you'd literally have to hold that wheel up whilst you're trying to get the holes lined up to get a bolt in. I think with them other two, I'm going to put location studs on there. Just basically a plain pin that when you lift the wheel up, you'll slide it onto them pins and then get a bolt in. I think that'll be a bit easier than trying to struggle lining holes. You know yourself, if you put a wheel on a car with wheel bolts, sometimes it's a bit of a struggle getting it all lined up, holding it there to get a bolt in quick. So I think 2 pins coming out and we'll line up on them, and it'll just make life a bit easier, especially how high it is and how high you gotta lift the wheel and sort of slide it into place. So yeah, 3 mounting holes and 2 location pins. I think that's all it needs. Yeah, so I've got to make some pins. The large holes are drilled for the bolts. I've got to obviously put nuts at the back of them. I've got 2. Yeah, I will have 3. I'll have 3. I've definitely got 2. I will have another one somewhere that will be correct for it. 14 by 1.5, I think. Yeah, I'm going to find some suitable material now for the pins. They haven't got to be to the size of the hole in the wheel. It's just got to be able to hold the wheel there while you're getting some bolts in. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to lay out the plate that's going to go here with a bit of an outrigger on, with some gussets, and then this on that. So we've got to sort out the depth of the wheel to where this has got to be, because I'd like the tyre just touching these tubes, because that'll help with its stability as well. We don't want to have a gap from the tubes, because that could allow for a bit of movement and eventually start putting fatigue on things and braking. So if the tyre's sort of against these tubes, that's going to make it a lot safer over time. Anyway, let's sort some pins out. Right, got the old disc back in. Here's the plate. So, just to make sure we're going right, we're going to be using 3 bolts. And I've quickly spun a couple of location pins up. So, we'll weld them in, and then we'll spin it round and do some nuts up on the back and weld them on. That'll do it, I think. That ain't the best. It's stuck. Right, I've been and tried the wheel carrier, the round bit that we just tacked up on the wheel. That's all okay, so I've welded all that up with the nuts on now. That's down there cooling off. Now I've just started marking the centre bit out, the bit that's going to carry sort of the outrigger for that round bit that we've just done. So yeah, there's not a lot I can really do with this. At the end of the day, it's never going to be seen. As soon as the wheel's gone on, all this is invisible. So I'm not going too mad with it shape-wise. I've done these little cutouts. It will line it up a tiny bit and so on. So I'm going to get the plasma up and running and cut this out, and then we can tack it into the main frame. off. Right, that's that sorted. I've pressed it along a little bit, so all that's cut out. I've dressed it all up. It's looking okay actually. Like I say, we're not going to be able to see that when the wheel's on. What I've got now, I've got these little bits that I use on the infill frames. I'm just going to use these so I make sure I get this flat with this tube. I don't want it tilted or anything, because that could set us off in the wrong direction when the wheel gets bolted to it. So if I do this, then this, as you might see it move. Well, that one not too much. Yeah, if I do that and then clamp them up there, it'll sit on this tube and it'll keep them all the same while I tack that plate on. There we go, that one's moving a little bit. There we are. Yeah, they'll rest on the tube, you see. Keep it flush. Like so. It's ready to tack them on. And then we're going to have to do, obviously, I've got a bit of tube that will come out. Then I want to put some gussets on that tube. I don't want the whole wheel relying just on that bit of tube welded to this plate. So I found something out that I've got loads of these things. They're looking a bit worse for wear, but I'll clean them up. I think I can make some gussets out of these. So that bit goes on the tube going up, then that to the plate there. And they're an alright shape. So these, many years ago, I used to make loads of light bars for Land Rover Defenders. I found one that had been powder coated and folded, look. So that used to drop into the drip rail on the roof on the Defender, and then it'd have a straight 50mm bar all the way across above the window with lugs on for spotlights. I made loads and loads of these Land Rover light bars. I used to supply them to a local Land Rover dealer. Yeah, and this is just the remnants that have been knocking around for probably 15 years, probably more than that. It's easy to lose track of time. So yeah, they're looking a bit worse for wear, but I think with a bit of trimming, I'm going to be able to use them, and I've got a ready-made shape. We'll see when we get to that bit. In the meantime, let's just tack this plate on. Okay then, so I've got these clamped. I only had 2 clamps, so I didn't want to mess about with the massive clamps that I've got, but that's enough. That's all tacked in place. So I'm going to remove all this now, and I should be good to go with welding it all up. Yeah, I think that's okay. And I've got a bit of tube somewhere. I did sort a bit of tube out. 58mm tube. It's about somewhere. I think I'm going to use that in the centre when I find it. Anyway, I'll get a streamer weld on this lot. Got to cut these tubes down because I don't need that much sticking out. Obviously we've got to weld all these nasty tacks up that I've done. That's got to come off. I know I've got plastic bungs for the ends when it's all powder coated. Right, been round and welded everything up now. Next job is the tube that we're going to fix that round plate to. Now I've got a piece, and one end of it needs levelling up because it's all over the place, but I haven't got much material to play with because it's nearly at the right height at what I need as it is. So yeah, that end's good. So that'll go there. Then obviously that will go on there. It's got to be 190 from the plate to the top of this. I say 190. It's not that critical. It's not that critical. So if I can get it close, that would be good. So I've got to level one end off. I'm going to mark it up in the lathe actually, and then we'll cut it with a grinder. Let's sort that out. That might have us somewhere near. That'll have us about right. You see, it's quite off. Should do it. Right, that's about where it's got to be, so we'll get a few tacks on that. Basically how we're going to be, and then we'll sort some of them bits that I've got and see what we can do with them for gussets. I reckon we're going to be alright. I know what I'm going to do is bolt this on actually, and that'll give me a bit more of a chance of it staying a bit straighter while I weld it. Less buckling. That's got that. Right, moving on to the following day and the following day. I think probably the following day. I've been on this for 6 days. Normally this is a job that, I don't know, even sort of in a relaxed pace, 2 easy days maybe, a good pace, 1 day. But that's where we are so far. We'll have a closer look in a minute. Now, before I get cracking today, I know I'm getting told off a lot in the comments. I get that 100%. I get it. But I have to do exercises with this arm. Bear in mind we are now in week 5. Yeah, week 5. It's flew by actually. It's not been too bad. It's the saying, use it or lose it. I am being careful. I am not lifting heavy stuff with it at all. I'm not lifting at all with it, to be honest, because you're not supposed to do that. But quite often, several times through each day, I am supposed to be exercising this arm, as in it comes out the sling. This is instructions. It comes out the sling and I get it moving. If I don't, there's a huge chance of having frozen shoulder, which apparently is quite a bad thing to deal with, and then I could be up to a year trying to get rid of that. So the first 2 weeks basically do nothing, take it really easy, which is what I've done. I left that thing totally and utterly dormant, and then you start doing exercises. They went through all these exercises with me in the hospital. Obviously they couldn't move me around too much then because it had only just been done, but you have to take your arm out the sling, You have to constantly keep moving your fingers, wrist, elbow, pull it out of the sling. You have to constantly do this, up your front, out there, out that way, and then you start working within the perimeters of shoulder movement. Rotating, you're supposed to like hang down, rotate your arm like so, and gradually keep getting wider and wider and wider. Like I say, working in the perimeters of pain. You don't push it till it hurts. With the movement and doing gradually doing a bit more each day, you find yourself getting it out further and further. This is what I have to do, and to me, you know, taking it out of the sling now and again and holding something maybe like this on the bench, or just pushing something like so, which is not heavy, it's all within them parameters of movement that I absolutely should be doing. Like I say, if you don't do this, my physio is in a couple of weeks. That is going to be a whole lot harder if I haven't done my bit getting it on the move before the real physio starts and they proper start pushing it. Yeah, if I've left it completely dormant in this sling, it's going to be, physio time's going to be, yeah, quite interesting. So yes, I do have to take it out of the sling, I do have to move it, I do have to exercise it several times throughout every single day, or like I say, move it or lose it. That's it. So, but I get it. I'm not falling out of anybody. No, not a chance. But when you see me doing little bits, it's well within the parameters of what I've got to do. I'm not, you know, it's off the strap thing now, and my gesturing is it's actually all things I'm supposed to be doing. So when you see it, I'm sort of using my exercise time as my little bits of time to do little jobs. Like I say, this, it's took 5 or 6 days, because instead of like standing there swinging my arm around in midair, I'm doing something instead of. So yeah, like I say, normally this would be a day, maybe 2 days work, but I've been on it 5 or 6 days. So I'm not pushing it, and don't get me wrong, it's very, very frustrating, extremely frustrating, but I am taking my time, and I certainly will not push this to the point where it hurts, because then obviously you're doing damage then. And it's fantastic. As I stand here now, I am in absolute zero pain, none at all, and the scars non-existent. So everything is 100% going in the right direction. It really is. And I'm the last person that wants to do something that severs it off again. I know there's always a chance of a re-tear, but that goes with everything. Even if it was a partial tear to begin with, there's always a chance of failure, but you've got to get the strength in it. My diet is all really high protein stuff. I've got protein drinks, protein yogurts. I am doing absolutely everything and beyond for this to be good. So yeah, lots of meats, eggs. Like I say, I've got a selection of everything that's high protein, because it's all good for the muscle and everything like that. So yeah, I am being it. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but, and some people are thinking I have strictly got to keep this arm in a sling. I haven't. It's got to come out. You've got to move it. You've got to exercise it. Like I say, within the parameters of pain. If it twinges, you stop there, and then following day it may go a little bit further, and this is how you get it moving, and basically all the articulation back in it eventually. But physio starts very soon, and hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier with me doing the exercises I absolutely should be doing. Although I am turning when my arm comes out the sling, I'm probably doing something down here, but it's all the movement I absolutely should be doing as instructed by the hospital. So there we go. I know people are going to disagree, but yeah, we're all different. I'm certainly not pushing it. Anyway, next on this then, you can see I've put these little gussety things in. Did I explain what they were? I can't remember. Like I say, I've been on this for days. I probably did. Anyway, I've trimmed all them and used them on here, because obviously we've sort of got to keep them sort of in bore. We're dealing with a 15-inch wheel rim, so it's still got to be able to go all the way over that. I'm going to do a couple off the plate up here. I'm only going to do 2, and then I think we'll weld it all up, and job's a good one. Then I've got to go around getting all the little bits of spatter off there, making sure all that's gone. I'm not going to bother going around dressing welds up. Yeah, they're sort of okay. And Alex will bury it in powder coating. And like I say, you cannot see that big area of this structure because the spare will be sitting there. I have dressed these off a little bit because you can see them, but yeah, it should look alright when it's buried in satin black. So we've got to do all that, and then I'm going to ghost over it all with the DA, sort of give it a check over like that as well, and then we'll be done. And then I have another little project to do for myself. Like I say, I'm doing all these projects for myself because they've taken so long to do, because I'm only chipping away a tiny bit each day within my parameters of exercise of this shoulder and arm. And if they are a little bit messy because of this, it's my own work. So next thing I'm going to do to the van, I've got some tubes. I'm going to make some sidebars for it because I think they look cool. So I've got some tubes there actually outside, so that's my next little project. And a mate of mine's coming to help me with that because he's got the same van and he wants some too, so that works out fantastic. He can actually do the crawling around under the van and stuff like that, or help with it to measure up bits of the chassis rail for all the brackets to come off. Anyway, let's do some welding. Right, about there with that. Finished the welding off. I've gone over it with the DA and just skipped round with the file, just knocking some of the spatter off. I think it's okay. That will do. It probably looks really heavy, but hold on. Let's manoeuvre around Blue. Here's Blue. Hello, Blue. He's waiting for a biscuit, ain't you, mate? Hey, he's waiting for a biscuit. But yeah, it's quite light actually. Not bad at all. I've got Gertrude on his way over, so when he comes, I will get him to help me just pop that back onto the back door, make sure everything's still in line and not moved around, and we'll try the spare wheel on it, and then off to the powder coaters. Next job in here, actually, I did mention sidebars for the van, but I forgot. While I've got the welder out, because we got the welder out to wheel it up to the van to get all the mounting points for this done, I'm going to get at the forge. If you remember, about 300 years ago, I made a forge. I'm going to get it sorted out. I say, all these little jobs that I've just been putting off, I'm slowly going to plod through. I have got a regulator for the fan, which we will try out in the next video. I've got to take this bit off it and reduce it to 50mm. I don't know if you'll see under there, there's a 50mm pipe on the forge for the air. And while I'm dropping this stuff off at the powder coaters, just around the corner there's like a pipe and hose fit in place where I think I should get a bit of flexi tube to go from the fan to the forge. And then all it's down to then is finding some blacksmith coke, and we can have a go at that at some point. Then I'll have to drag the anvil. Well, I won't be dragging the anvil out of the corner just yet, because yes, that is heavy. Yeah, I'll colour someone to help me with that one day, give that another clean over, and maybe somewhere down the line we'll have a bit of a bash about on that. I've been thinking of doing some bits. I've even had a thought of perhaps starting another channel. I don't know yet, and doing a load of fabricating and blacksmithing on there, just like one video a month or something like that. Do it on a hobby level and not like I used to, and maybe just making all sorts of weird and wonderful bits and bobs that I can then sling onto eBay. Even maybe not on eBay, even maybe like swords and things like that, fantasy stuff, or even something like a candlestick, just stuff I can make in here, and you follow the video and then it's for sale afterwards. But that's a bit further down the line yet, because obviously I've got to wait for this shoulder to properly get better to do things like that. But yeah, that's the next video. I'm going to sort the forge out and try the power regulator and get it linked up to the fan. And that'd be another little job that I've been putting off for ages done. Anyway, that's going to do me for this video. Like I say, next I might have a mess about with that forge. We'll see. We're just plodding on, keeping my mind occupied and keeping myself as busy as I can. Cheers for watching, guys. Take care.